Manchester United have discussed the Jurrien Timber deal again in the last 48 hours, according to Fabrizio Romano. Other reports suggesting that United are one step away from making the Dutch defender the first signing under Erik ten Hag. That has led many Manchester United fans to ask the question: Could it be as early as today that Man United bring in the first new player under the new regime and era of Erik ten Hag? We're going to give you some updates as well on the Pau Torres situation. Man United have made genuine inquiries. There is also the situation of Milinković-Savic and a big update on Tchouameni. A report claiming that his move to Real Madrid isn't as certain as many others yesterday said it was. But smash that like button, subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's do this. Good morning, one and all. I hope you are well. I hope you're in a good mood today. Could today be the day of Man United's first signing under Erik ten Hag? There's lots of people speaking very late into last night, midnight, 1 a.m. The Jurrien Timber conversation really picked up pace. Everybody was tweeting about him, the aggregators, the verified journalists, the kind of new flux of journalists, none of them verified, but with lots of followings. There's one called Hayden, who's an interesting one. I always like the ones that are sort of not verified. I've never heard the names before, but lots of people follow them. It's almost like, okay, well, clearly some people online have faith in you. But lots of people last night, however, talking about Jurrien Timber. Here, Fabrizio Romano says that United have discussed it again in the last 48 hours. Timber's name, along with Pau Torres, was also mentioned in the first meeting between Man United and Ten Hag days ago. More to follow as Man United will decide the next steps on the centre-back soon. So kind of Fabrizio really playing this down as if nothing much is progressing, nothing much is happening. But here you have Pedro, who says that Jurrien Timber is one step away to become a Manchester United, and the new Manchester United player. The English club will pay around 35 million euros for the Dutch player. So it comes down to, where do you think this is? As I say, the reports, and I'll put it up on the screen just now. If you just search Timber, just search his name. You just search his name and then you look at all the different reports that are coming out. It's very, very varied indeed. There's one here that the United report share that says that Pau Torres could play for Man United next season. United and Tottenham are both offering 50 million euros, but Torres prefers United. His agent will be in the UK in the next few days to negotiate a contract. Nothing final yet. So is there still the case that we're looking at two defenders? Are we looking for a versatile player in Jurrien Timber and then an out-and-out centre-back in Pau Torres? We know AWB is going to go. Nobody wants Maguire in the team. Bay is going to leave. Phil Jones ended up being our backup this year. Something needs to happen in those areas. There's no shadow of a doubt. No shadow of a doubt. Something needs to happen in those areas. And as I said, what I'll do, as I always do, is share the Twitter feed of which I'm taking this information from. There you can see it from the United report. So there's many sort of different varying reports. But what do you think is going to happen? Is Timber as close as today, this week, next week? Or do you think this is going to prolong? Do you think Man United are going to be 2-3 weeks down the line and every day we're hearing Timber snag, Timber positive, Pau Torres snag, Pau Torres positive? Because it's giving me those distinct vibes already. Maybe that's a little bit of PTSD with the way that Manchester United have kind of behaved in the past. But as I said, there's a lot of these other accounts, and I'm going to put them on the screen now that you can see here. These like Ross Harwood's here, who says it's done, 4-year deal with a 5th-year option, 30 million fee plus. I mean, this has got 4,500 likes and retweets. There's lots of these types of accounts that are out there sharing it. You have Santavei here that says final details were finalized overnight between Manchester United and Ajax. Jurrien Timber's representatives and Timber will soon be announced as a Manchester United player. I mean, so there are a number of journalists or people posing as journalists have got the transfer exchange that say that a medical is pending, pending a medical, and he could become a Manchester United player. So many reports, as I say, out there talking about this deal being very, very close indeed. But I want your take. I want your opinions. I want to know what you think and feel about this. It looks like some of the comments aren't coming through at the moment, which is very, very, very weird. Oh, no, they are coming through now. They are. So I can see what you're all saying. Billy T, good morning to you. He says, could Timber play right back and be a backup centre back if Torres signs too? He most certainly could be. And I think that when people look at them both as centre backs, there's this element of, but what, so we're going to drop 70 to 80 million on two centre backs. What about midfield? What about right back? What about attack? So maybe that's the idea, because Dalot is said to be in the plans of Ten Hag, at least in the short term. So maybe there's an element of this. Get Jurrien Timber in. He'll be the right back for a period of time. He can cover in that role. Him and Dalot can kind of share it. He can step into a centre-back position when needed. You put Pau Torres next to Rafael Varane, and that's the way forward. I mean, that feels and sounds quite logical to me as an option. It really, really does. Good morning, Adam. Hope you are well, my friend. Hope you're good. Timber, Varane, Torres, Shaw, the back four next year. Listen, that's not a bad back four. Let's have it right. It's not a bad back four. On paper. On paper, it isn't. And you never quite know how it's going to translate to the Premier League. You never know exactly how Manchester United are going to play and operate. But on paper, that's a very good back four. And I think that if you sign Pau Torres, and you signed Timber right now, I don't think you could complain as a Manchester United fan in terms of addressing the issues. Now, none of us know, as I've already said, whether or not those deals are going to pay dividends in the end. Only time will tell as to whether or not those deals are good enough or not. However, on paper, very, very good indeed. I'd be very, very intrigued by that. Hussein here says Savic, Timber, Torres. Well, it's interesting you mentioned the Milinković-Savic situation, because of course his name has been trending overnight as well. His name is everywhere, and there are contrasting reports. So, you know, there are contrasting reports that, hey, we can put them up on the screen so everybody can see. First one here claims it is true that Manchester United made an official bid for Sergej Milinković-Savic, but Lazio want more money than what they offered. But it doesn't take you too long, and I'll keep the search up. If you just keep searching long enough, you'll see here that Jonathan Schrager says that Lazio have not received an offer from Manchester United for Milinković-Savic. Lazio would be prepared to sell him in the region of 60 million euros plus. So in the space of a couple of hours, there's the varying difference in what people believe around the deal comes up. My take on that is that Jonathan is a tremendous journalist, a very reliable journalist, connections at Man United. You'll probably find that Manchester United haven't made an official offer for Milinković-Savic, but an inquiry. That way it can be turned down. We all understand the PR and how it works. But Milinković-Savic, listen, I see a lot of people excited about it. Challenge Bruno. You know, we've got a good technical football player, established, experienced. I don't know why, though. It just gives me Gaetan Schneider vibes. It's a name that's always linked back to Manchester United. And I don't know, just never really seems to progress as far as we hope it would. David here, with a member super chat here, says to us, Timber, De Jong, Torres, Anthony, and Nkunku, and Fabian Ruiz as a summer window. I mean, as a summer window, again, that reads brilliantly, doesn't it? It reads brilliantly. You promote Hannibal. You know, maybe you throw Ethan Laird into the squad. You give Jimmy Garner a chance. With those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players you've signed, suddenly you bring in 8 players, 7 or 8 leave. Although I think there'd be like a nice feel-good factor at the club. You need more than the feel-good factor, but it would certainly be a start. There's no doubt. Yeah, Savic, the new Gaetan, is being said here. I don't know why people see Bailly in that way. In what way, my friend? I'll keep Eric Bailly. Let me tell you about Eric Bailly. He's one of the problems in the dressing room, but mainly because he's unhappy because the club haven't treated him very well. It becomes a vicious cycle. Eric Bailly doesn't play because Eric Bailly's body breaks down when he does. Look at Axel Tuanzebe. Play him, Ollie. Play him, Ollie. Play him, Ralph. Play him, Ralph. He might have already gone before Ralph got here, to be fair. But just sometimes the noise is so much that it kind of merges from manager to manager. Play him, play him, play him. He goes on loan and spends pretty much the whole time injured because as soon as you start to play these two players, their bodies break down. They're okay to be thrown in every now and then, but they can't handle it. It's not about the technical ability. It's about the availability with these players. I think Timber Varane is a perfect duo, is what Tyne's got to say here. The only real said that's like 300 million. Is it 300 million for all those players? Let's do the math on that. I haven't worked it out. 30 million they reckon for Timber. De Jong, they think about 60. So we're looking at 90 there straight away. You could be right, my friend. Pau Torres, about 45. We're getting close to it. And I mean, Anthony and Nkunku, what are they around for? Is it 60 odd? And I'm not too sure about Fabian Rich. Yeah, you're probably looking at it now, 78. You're looking at, over that 200 mark. So, yeah, listen, that would be a very expensive summer. But in terms of the names, yeah, great. Sounds good. Is it realistic? Maybe not so much. Ericsson, Suarez, Timber, Rice, and Doherty. Wait, Suarez at Man United. Stop it. I did see the news. We'll talk about doing Arsenal news later on today on Straight Facts with Jess. But I did see that Aston Villa might be looking at Basuma as well as Baboucarr Kamara. That could be a midfield. Them two with Philippe Coutinho ahead of them. Again, I'm talking on paper here. I'm doing a bit of FIFA chat myself. On paper, that is sexy. On paper, that is sexy. Very, very. Yeah. By the way, we might be getting Mike, Love United, Hate Glazers on the terrace. He didn't like what I said about him yesterday. He wants me to come on the show. His one condition is that I prove that he was toxic about Jose. I'll go and have a look. Like I said a few moments ago, sometimes there's so much noise from him and people like him. Maybe I haven't seen anything from him in the past that was toxic about Jose, but I still like to get him on because I still don't believe he's a Manchester United fan. And if he wants to not prove to me that he is, but just have a conversation with me, maybe it changes my mind about his direction. I just feel like he is deliberately and purposely negative about everything at Manchester United. With a lot of hindsight. It's always after the fact instead of before the fact. So I just like to have a conversation. And to answer what he said to me, I don't expect apologies from you. I don't expect, it's not a setup. It's not going to be like an I got you thing. I just like to have a chat. So if you are watching, because I know you obviously watched because you saw the clip, let's do it. That's it. Simple as that. Like there's no animosity. I just don't believe you are a Man United fan. That's just how you make me feel. And whatever else. And I'm sure you've got opinions about me and other content creators. And it is what it is, my guy. But that's for another day. That's for another moment, my friend. We can definitely do that. I don't shy away from those conversations. A lot of other content creators do, but I won't. Now, Tchouameni, of course, yesterday, I did say this on a video I made last night, and I will say it again. Football fans are mad. Football fans are legitimately crazy at times. And I tell you as to why. I'm going to give you a little story here. So a few months ago, L'Equipe said that PSG, and you have to remember the word L'Equipe here. Don't forget L'Equipe. They said that PSG, twice they reported this, February and April, had sacked Poch. They told him, irrespective of winning the league, maybe even winning the Champions League, we are sacking you. You've got a stay of execution, but you're gone. Very credible outlet. We reported on it. No, he ain't been sacked. No way, no way. You can't trust L'Equipe. Remember L'Equipe. Yesterday, it's reported that he's not going to be sacked, that he's going to stay, that they've done a U-turn and changed their minds, partly because of Kylian Mbappe. I start getting DMs. People quoting the story to me, sending me links. You were wrong. Your source was wrong. Do you know who reported that they've done a U-turn and going to keep Poch? Le Quip! Another one. Arsenal fans 2 days ago. RMC Sport is fake news. William Saliba doesn't want to stay. Doesn't want to stay at Marseille. Fake news. Fake news. Do not trust RMC Sport. Remember RMC Sport here. You got to remember RMC Sport. Yesterday, it's reported that Tchouameni has chosen Real Madrid over Chelsea and Liverpool. Siguna's rejected. You got rejected. You got rejected. The story was by RMC Sport. That's why I get a little frustrated. But listen, this is the news about Tchouameni. You can see here, Anfield Talk has shared this. They said there is no full agreement for Tchouameni to join Real Madrid. Liverpool will step up their chase after the final on Saturday. Real Madrid currently, though, in pole position. Someone's actually tagged me and Grizz Khan. I'm with Grizz Khan today, by the way, filming 12th Man in the studio. How many twists in this one? So it's now being reported that the deal is still on for Liverpool. They haven't mentioned Chelsea, but they're still saying it is on. There we go. There we go. Question, Terry, why is Mbappe staying means Poch stays? Well, the report I read, and I really skim read it as opposed to delving deep into it, almost Mbappe likes him. That's kind of it, is what we hear. Plus, it looks like Zidane has rejected them. So it's almost like there's a guy, he's met a girl at work and he really wants to get with her. Oh, she's beautiful. She, her body for him, her body goes in and out in all the right places. Great personality, smells good, excellent company. Wants to leave. And he's kind of at home telling his other half, like, oh, I'm going to go soon. I want to end. We're going to break up. And then this new bit kind of gives him the elbow and says, nah, it was a bit of fun. I don't want a relationship. And then he skips off home to his partner, takeaway, bottle of wine. Let's sort this out. I've had a change of heart and I want to stay with you. That's what I feel has happened more so than anything else. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Terry, did you shower before you came on the stream? That's a very weird thing to say. The answer is actually no, because I showered last night. I finished the stream and I go to the gym and then I shower at the gym. That's what I do. But yeah, I get up and I wash my face and I brush my teeth like any other normal human being. Very strange question, but thank you for thinking about me getting into the shower. It's very nice to know that you think about me in that way. So thank you very much indeed. I really appreciate that. I do. Poch making a big mistake by staying. Well, it depends. What else is out there from? What's out there? There's no bigger or better club willing to offer him a deal right now. Simple as that. Simple as that for me. An update for anyone who was just tuning in. There are reports circulating today that Jurrien Timber is one step away from becoming a Manchester United player. The English club will pay around 35 million euros for the Dutchman. Talks have been confirmed by everybody. I think the fact that Fabrizio is talking about this shows that the deal may not be as close as Pedro has stated, but there is certainly what I find very positive about Timber, Paul Torres, and Frankie de Jong is that no journalist has turned down the fact that there is at least conversations, that that at least discussions are not going on. I think that's a real positive thing for a lot of people. Certainly me. Mbappe used Real Madrid to stay at PSG. He and Poch knew they would be there next season. Poch said he and Mbappe would be there, is what Ray has got to say about it. And you could be right, my friend. Jamie here says, Terry, if Klopp feels a player isn't 100% committed to move to Liverpool, he will just move on to the next target. Commitment is everything to Klopp. Oh, so you think, Jamie, that Jurgen Klopp would now walk away from Tchouameni because he's considering Real Madrid and has been considering Chelsea. Interesting. Well, let's see if that happens. I mean, I'm not going to discredit what you're saying. I think it's a fair point. We think that's a fair point. But there we go. Keen to hear this podcast go down with Mike, mate. Well done for not backing down on your word. No, look, it's not about that. Like, I had the account blocked, and it wasn't like a personal thing. It was just, I'll be really honest. Like, the way, it's not even what he says, because we let anyone phone into the terrace. We let anyone come on the terrace to have their say. So it's not about difference of opinions. When I see accounts, football related or not, who have a certain vibe, I just tend to mute or block because I don't necessarily want to see it. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't have a conversation with the person. Like, I'm really not that petty. And yeah, more than happy to have him come on. And look, even if I'm wrong about him being toxic about Jose in the past, that isn't really that. And I'm very happy to go, sorry, I must have got that wrong. There's a lot of Love United, Hate Glazer accounts out there. Maybe I've seen one and confused the two together. I'm really not precious about any of that. I want to have a conversation. I want to know the angle he comes from. He's very popular on social media. We are a fan channel, and fan opinion is more important than anything else. So yeah, I'm definitely up for it. If he's not, then again, I'll lose no sleep over it. But there we go. Is it true that PSG are making Poch stay so that they can get Pep next season when he leaves City? I don't know if that's true. I haven't seen that report anywhere. I've not read that, so I have no idea. But yeah, let's see what happens in it. You know, Pep leaving next year. I don't know if I believe that, to be fair. But there we go. Why are you calling your team a joke? Oh, Nelson calling City a joke. I thought you were talking to me for a second. Said, morning, Terry. If Timber is left-footed, he will be a regular starter, ousting Maguire's position. Listen, I think anybody could oust Maguire from his position right now. The geezer's an absolute shadow of himself. But guys, what I'm going to do, if you want to phone in and have your say on these stories this morning, feel free to. Now the call-in link is going into the live comment section right about now. So that's in. I'm going to pin that I'm going to pin it. I can't right now because there we go. It's pinned. If you want to phone in, please come on, have your say. I would like to hear from you today. Adam says he's a fridge. Timber and Varane is an awful partnership. Tell us why, my friend. I love that you have an opinion. You have a lot of opinions on here, and I respect that you come here to give them. What I really want from you guys now is I want us to go from basic level opinion to elite level opinion. Explain why, so that we understand it. Because I can read that out, but it's like, great, but why? The why is always more important than the what. A bit like why I want to speak to Mike. I want to know why he tweets and says what he says more than what he says. That's more the intrigue for me. Why over what always? That's just something I was taught a long time ago. Unpopular opinion here. Varane doesn't have a good partnership in United. I think that's a popular opinion. We conceded 57 goals. Yeah. David here says, like in maths, show your workings. Yeah, exactly. I want to see the workings out. I want to see what's going on in your head. What's led to you believing what you believe, essentially, is what's really important to me as an individual, and always has been. We're going to get Adrian on now to have his say. We're talking Timber. Could he be a Manchester United player as early as today? How do you see this deal going? We are talking Torres, Milinković-Savic, and Tchouameni as well. First on the show, Adrian is here. What are you saying, my friend?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Who do you support and what do you want to say?
I actually support Chelsea, but I've been following Timber for a while. So I think what you're going to see from him is he's quite an athletic, ball-playing centre-back. He's kind of used to playing that sort of high line. Now, whether he can adapt to the Premier League and all of that will also come up. But I think what you're seeing, in my opinion, this is what I want at Chelsea as well, is that you're seeing like a clear plan at what you're seeing from these targets. So, like, they're playing in a possession-based system. And most of these targets have had a relation with Ajax. And I think that's important because I think what you saw with United It's like, I remember you had a video on this as well. It's like there were a bunch of individuals and not a team. So I think what Ten Hag and the board are thinking is that if you bring in players who have played in a team under Ten Hag, who have had that atmosphere and that sort of team bond, you can sort of quickly build up that chemistry and that relationship a bit easier. Yeah. Oh, apparently the takeover got completed as well. Oh, mad. But yeah, no, I think it just all comes down to the scout department now for both of our teams, I guess, because I feel like both teams need to rebuild, and it's just all about finding the right people to fit the right system and everything. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, of course. And I think that is a massive part. And obviously, Chelsea's news coming out. We had Ben Jacobs on yesterday that said this was days away from happening, or a day or so away from happening. So I'm not surprised to see that news kind of coming out now. Yeah, that was put out about an hour ago by Matt Law. And Chelsea are going to go big into this market. I think what I will say is this: it's going to be a gargantuan summer for all of the top six. I think all are going to spend 150 plus on players. I really do. Some as high as 200 million. It's going to create a highly competitive season next year, no doubt. It really is. Adrian,
100%.
Great call, my friend. So go on, mate. Go on. Go make your point. Sorry,
I was just saying it's all going to come down to who recruits the most intelligently, because everyone's got money now. For me, I just want Chelsea, Marina, Scott McKecker and the head scouts actually look at the players and be like, okay, how do they fit into Tuchel's system? I feel like you probably hear the same with United and their scouts. I heard they haven't even scouted some players and have a profile, and Ragnick was fuming with that. Then I just feel like that's just the thing that both our clubs have been lacking for these last 5-6 years. So I think that's the key thing. It's just use the money wisely, and then you won't have to spend so much in the future.
Yeah, of course. It's about buying players. I say this to people a lot. It's about buying players for a club system. That way, even if a manager or the coach fails, you don't need an overhaul and a rebuild and a cultural reset every time a new manager comes in. You just pick up where the last guy left off. And I think in the modern day game, you're never going to get another Fergie at a club or another Wenger. But you can recreate that by having a club plan. So replace the Fergie person and his process with a club process, and you just add head coaches to that and directors of football to run it. But you maintain the standard. You target a particular type of football player to meet the philosophy and cultural element of your club. It's so simple. It's actually so basic. It isn't even complicated. And if Chelsea get that right, if Man United get it right, they can be competing for titles relatively quickly. Within a year or so for Chelsea, and maybe 2 to 3 years for Manchester United. How do we know this? Liverpool did it, and we're competing for titles inside 2.5, 3 years. And they were a team that were finishing outside the top 4 fairly consistently before they started that process. Now, they needed Klopp and Edwards together to get them to this level. But once you're there, you've got the blueprint. It's been made. You know what works and what doesn't. And then you continue from that point. And Chelsea are a lot closer to Manchester United, in my opinion. The takeover is done. Let's see how that progresses. Adrian, great call, my friend. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Thank you very much indeed. Viewers, please make sure you're hitting the like button for us this morning. You're subscribing to the Football Terrace as well if you haven't done so already. Like in Champ Manager, United would send an Italian scout to go to Germany. Yeah. That game. Okay, it's just these things are just not hard, really. Now, of course, they're a little bit more difficult when you're doing it, but the basic premise is the same always. It really is. Just good people running the club. What you don't need is, imagine Man United build for Erik Ten Hag, for his style, for his way of doing things, 2.5 years, and then sack him and go, right, who's coming in? Oh, we're going for Simeone. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. And I use 2 very different type of managers to make it make sense, but even the most subtle change can mess things up. Next on the show, CFC Matty is here. Another Chelsea fan on the show this morning. How you doing, Matty?
How you doing, boss? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. What's on your mind?
I tell you what, mate. If you're getting Milinković-Savic, I'm dead jealous. I really am dead jealous, because he is a baller. For 60 million euros, that's a steal. I'm honestly great player. I've watched him for many years. Great holding midfielder, great central midfielder. You guys have got a really good midfielder on your hands. Perfect replacement for Matic. Perfect replacement to bulk up your midfield. Honestly, best signing you guys could make. Honestly, really good player. I actually would like him at Chelsea. Actually,
yeah. I mean, I look at it. I look at it along the lines of he's very talented. A lot of people say a lot of good things about him. I'm not going to proclaim to be an expert on him. I have a real problem with content creators that act like they watch every league, every player, every team, every weekend. And I'm like, bruv, you don't. I follow your Insta. You're out all the time. There's no way you're out that much and watching all them games. You're a liar. So I'm not going to fall into that category. But what I read about him, what I see about him is very, very good. And the fact that he knows Ten Hag, I think, is an added bonus because it brings in some players. And he's kind of linked to 2 or 3 players, Erik, who have played for him before. It's almost like he wants to bring their energy, their understanding to that squad and then try and spread that out amongst everybody. And look, typically at Man United, we give the managers year one at least what they want. Or that's how it appears anyway, so it'll be very good. But what's your take today on the Chelsea takeover being announced, the licensing now being in place?
Well, it took over 20 years for it to be done, didn't it? It felt like that long anyway. But, it was good to see that we've actually got somebody. Sad for Abramovich, really, because, Abramovich has brought so much success to Chelsea. I didn't want it to end this way. But, we've got Todd Boehly now, and apparently we've got £200 million to spend in the summer. I don't know if that's including Kante, Koundé, Jules Koundé. But who knows? I'd like to see us kind of go from, almost like a Tchouameni or someone like that, bolster up our defence, because that was really what suffered this year was our defence, and kind of get rid of some of the deadwood, really, and kind of bring in some more wingers or better wingers, shall I say. But that's my opinion, really. So, what do you think about the whole takeover being a rival?
Like I said before, there is always the chance it doesn't work. There's always the chance that the new owners are not good over a medium to long-term period. I think in the short term, we're not going to see very much difference. I think that, as Ben Jacob explained yesterday, they're almost just going to allow the way it was run under Roman to continue in the short term. So you're going to spend big. They're not going to change too much too soon because that would be stupid. It would actually be stupid to gut out everything and anything and replace it with all new people today and then try and run the summer like that. It would fall apart. You have to slowly, in my opinion, integrate and make changes. Whenever you take over a department of an organization or a company, you make the changes slowly. You make the changes slowly, and you make it an easy transition. Because Chelsea is still a fairly successful club in recent years, in the sense of Champions League winners, a number of finals. You haven't challenged for a title. The reason I say fairly, I'm judging by the elite end of the spectrum. You haven't challenged for a title in 5 years. So you don't need to make mass overhauls to the way you're run, to the way you operate, to what's going on at Chelsea. You don't need to do that. It needs to be some subtle changes. I think in the short term, you'll stick with what you've got. Jules Koundé looks a done deal as an example. You are still linked to Tchouameni. There's a Declan Rice situation. I think you're going to sign some really good players. I think Chelsea fans will start this season very, very excited indeed. Matty, appreciate you coming on and having
Cheers, Terry.
We'll speak soon. Top man. Thank you. And I stand by that. I do think that Chelsea fans are going to be very intrigued, very excited, and very, very positive about this season before it starts. I think they're going to sign big and go well. Now, the long-term running of the club, let's see. But I don't think that's anything to worry about in the short term. You have to wait until they start making the internal changes. Who comes in as sort of the director of football? Who's on the board? Who's running things? But the likes of Buck and Marina and Czech, they're all staying for now. And they will run the club day to day. Todd Boehly won't. He'll be the owner, the head of the ownership team overseeing it. So I don't think you're going to see huge changes overnight, personally. But there we go. Some of your comments when I read them make me die. Not sure how Savic would fare in the fast pace of the Premier League. And I think that's a question you can pose against most players that are linked with moves to the Premier League, if we're being absolutely honest. It's always a case of me of let's wait and see how it looks, how it goes, and how, let's just give it a little bit of time. I'm not sort of... Just one of those not weird ones, but very talented to see. It's a fair point. He might struggle, he might fail, he might do well. Terry, very interesting that Ten Hag is at his dream job. He said it himself. That's a good thing. What was it really intriguing for me yesterday was watching the way the media responded to him. So it was crazy yesterday. And I want to find Jay's tweet, because Jay Motti rounded this up well. Jay Motti, of course, really good guy. Everyone knows him from Stretford Paddock and everything else. He put a tweet out. I think it might have even been Monday that he put this out. So I've got to try and find it now. Let me keep scrolling. I need to find it because I didn't have this ready, because it wasn't something I was going to talk about per se. But I'm there now, so I will. Hang on a minute. Now, journalists write some really weird things a lot of the time. Where are we at? Where's it gone? Come on, man. Let me find this, because I saw someone else put this out on Insta. Like, they screenshotted it, and now I can't find the damn thing. So let me find it on Insta. I'm trying to put it on the screen for you all, but let me find it on Instagram, because Andy Tate shared it on Instagram. So it's definitely there. But let me go on Andy Tate's Insta. Here it is. So he did tweet this, but I can't find it now. It says, so this is what he said. But so far, Erik ten Hag has been accosted by Sky Sports and accused of not understanding the job at United. We've had an article saying his body language shows a lack of confidence, and another claim that he is deluded. You also had Martin Samuel yesterday say that he's been hoodwinked into thinking Man United were title contenders 2 seasons ago. It's like he hasn't. He never said we were title contenders. He said this team was second. You know, he said this team is finished in the Champions League. He believes in them. He was just giving... It's mad, really, because the other day, Jurgen Klopp said that Minamino is Mr. Carling Cup. Sorry, Mr. Carabao Cup and Mr. FA Cup for Liverpool. He isn't, is he? Because when it got to the important semi-finals and finals, he wasn't as heavily involved. He's a squad player, a rotation player that's used when you're rotating your team. He's not a member of the main 11, not even really the main 13. Main 14 players used. But no one has a go at Klopp. Klopp's just being positive and polite and respectful and backing his player. Ten Hag is now the Man United manager. So he's not going to come out and say they're in a false second, they're in a false third, they only qualify for the Champions League because other teams are crap. You're never going to hear a manager come out and say this. He's not going to disrespect his brand new squad, start off on a bad foot with them. But yet it's all been turned into, he's been hoodwinked, he's terrible, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a day in the job. He's a press conference. He's giving PR answers, and they've already turned on him. So, yeah, listen, look, he's in his dream job, but don't relax. Like, the media is already coming for the guy. I found it hilarious reading it. I was like, oh, wow. Absolutely wow. David says, I like how he carries himself quietly confident. Yeah, look, I haven't read too much into any of it. If I'm being absolutely honest, if I'm being brutally honest, I've not read too much into any of it. Body language, none of it. I'm just kind of relaxed about it. It's like, yep, great. Good to see. Let's move on. You know, I'm more intrigued to see how the team plays. Yes, he speaks well, speaks with authority, respectful. I care about what he looks like on the pitch. You know, if he was as charismatic as Jurgen Klopp, but we played like we did under David Moyes, I don't care how charismatic he is. I actually don't care how good the football looks. If it doesn't yield results, I don't care either. I want to win games first. I want to win and play fantastic football. I want to win and play fantastic football with a charismatic, brilliant manager that represents my club well. That's utopia. But first, let's start winning some games. Let's start winning some games and then focus on everything else later. But I am screenshotting all these articles, by the way, because if and when it works, I'm coming for him. Coming for him. There we go. I think Klopp was referring to the fact that Taki won't start in the Champions League games, for example. He's a squad guy. No, I know he was. I wasn't guys, please. I wasn't attacking what he did. What I'm saying is that no journalist reported and said, "Oh my God, Jurgen Klopp's deluded if he thinks that Minamino is one of his most important players in the cup run. He didn't play in the final." Everybody knows that. Everybody knows it. But he was being respectful about his player because he doesn't want to be rude and say, "Oh, he's a yeah." Minamino started him today. I was a bit worried because he's only really a fringe player. Only really play him against Shrewsbury and weakened Premier League sides in the early stages of cup competitions. He'd never be that brutally honest. Why would he? Why would he be negative about a player, his own player like that? Like, just when people have got to learn to wise up sometimes. But there we go. There we go. Neymar to Chelsea, Terry. What's the done deal show from yesterday? Ben Jacobs was on. It's all timestamped. We speak about that. If it's going to happen, maybe. Could it? Maybe. Sorry. Very early stages. Barely any work has been done on this deal. And I'm paraphrasing what Ben Jacobs said yesterday. Is it on? Is it a possibility? Yes. Is it going to happen? Not sure. Next on the show, Mohammed is here. What are you saying, Mo? Are you there, Mo? No, Mo is not there. We'll try somebody else. Oh, you guys are weird. Stop having a go at each other. Let's talk about some of the. Ask some questions, people, because some of you're clogging up the chat. Someone's having a go at Nelson. It's making me laugh. Did you not see what Pep said in his first interview at Barca regarding Ronaldinho, Deco, and Eto'o? He probably praised them, right? He probably praised them, and I wouldn't be surprised. It's how it always goes. But listen, I always say this, don't take managers literally in their press conference. Just take them seriously. So they're going to lie. It's one of the things why I want to get Mike on. Managers are going to lie in press conferences. Because lying is, in some regards, an essential part of life. If my daughter comes up to me with a drawing at 4 years of age that isn't very good, I'm going to tell her it's beautiful. If my daughter, when she's 16, comes up to me with a drawing for her GCSEs that's poor, I'm going to tell her it needs to be better. There's an age and there's a timing and there's a right time and a wrong time. Now, some will say you can't compare parenting to managing a football team. Yeah, you can. There's a time and a place for outing players that isn't in your first press conference. You do it privately to begin with. And if after like weeks or months of trying to get a certain player to behave better, maybe in the end you out them publicly by going, do you know what? I'm going to reveal what this is now because the fans are asking questions, the media are asking questions, and we've given you enough chances. Then I'm kind of okay with it. But even then you can do it in a professional way. So, yeah, from my standpoint, anyone that's like, oh my God, is there something positive about Maguire? It means very little other than the fact that he isn't a stupid man and that he's being respectful. Now, Pep might have slagged those guys off. I don't know. Okay. He actually said they are not good enough for the team and outed them. Did he? In his first press conference? Well, fair enough. Maybe he went about it differently. You know, as he was already working at the club, he already had an insight. He probably already knew these players a little bit different. But again, either way, that's the approach of that individual manager. It doesn't really bother me. I don't remember him saying on his first press conference that Joe Hart's done here, can't play out from the back, he's going to move on. You know, I don't know. Because I don't really watch and listen to it. It isn't that important to me. But as I say, most of the time managers are quite coy, they're quite respectful, but they have a plan to move people on. You know, one of the biggest myths in football, Liverpool fans will tell you Jurgen Klopp can turn water into wine. Can turn a crap player into a brilliant player. No, he can turn good players into very good players because otherwise he wouldn't have bought anybody. He'd have just turned that squad that was finishing outside the Champions League into title winners. You have to buy better quality. But you can't just come in and everyone in here is crap. You all got to go. Because you know what they'll do? They'll start playing for you. They'll throw you under the bus. And then before you reach your end goal, you're out. It's crazy. How much money do you think you will spend in the summer? Man United will probably spend about £150 million. I think. In and around. Maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. I think it'll be about 150. And there we go. Man United are History FC, and I'm proud that we're History FC because at least we got the history. You know, it's why our standards are so high. If you don't have history, you don't have any standards. because what are you measuring yourselves against? I'd rather have the history and be fighting to get back to those days as opposed to fighting to get to the days that we've never had. I'd rather have been a has-been than a never was. You know, I'd always rather be a has-been than a never was. At least you were there, you know. I always find it funny how you get like people that laugh at actors or singers or comedians that used to be huge that are now no longer that big. Look, he's on Dancing on Ice because he's not popular anymore. But what have you done? You've literally been working at Tesco since you were 16 and you're not even the manager yet. And you're having a go at someone that was like one of the biggest comedians in the world 10 years ago. It's very weird. Haters hate. Haters hate. But there we go. Terry, did you hear about the incident? 1 second. Yes, Freya? Oh, you got something for me? Okay, I'll be 2 minutes. Thank you, darling. My daughter's got something for me. I don't know what it is, but she's got something for me. She had my prize. She's done me a prize. Have you seen Mark Ogden's interview? He thinks we need ready-made players like Declan Rice. We do need some ready-made players. We do. And Frankie de Jong is a prime example of a ready-made player that we're linked to. Milinković-Savic is a ready-made player. Pau Torres is a ready-made player. They are experienced individuals. Now, they may not be Premier League proven, but they are still ready-made players. Pau Torres is 25 years of age. He's going to turn 26 this year. You know, Frankie de Jong, the man's been an established first-team player at Champions League level for what, 4 or 5 years? Milinković-Savic, experienced. Declan Rice is £100 million. And I think Declan Rice is a formidable football player. I think he's a sensational football player, I will add. I think he's great. Legitimately a top player. No doubt about it in my mind. Top player. But at £100 million, no, I'd rather go and sign Ruben Neves and Basuma. Collectively, £80 million off a player would strengthen us. Again, Ruben Neves, Basumas, these are established football players. There's links to Christian Eriksen, established football player. There's loads of established players we're linked to. I don't like the obsession with just throwing out Declan Rice's name. I think he's a brilliant player, but there are lots of other established players in other positions that could do Manchester United a turn. The only couple of players that are less established, you know, like Timber's a little bit young, but been playing for a while. You've got like Nkunku, like Christopher Nkunku. But he's, I swear, I'm checking now. He's 24, turning 25 this year. Most of the players we're linked to are in that early mid-20 bracket. They're established. They're all older than Declan Rice. It's crazy. It's a strange one to me, but there we go. Listen, everyone that's tuned in this morning, a big thank you to each and every single one of you. We're back later today with more content. We've got straight facts this afternoon where we're talking Jurrien Tielemans. We're going to be talking Gabriel Jesus. We're talking Jurgen Klopp and Player of the Year, amongst a number of other things. I'm sure there'll be some breaking news between now and then as well. But until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.